Hello everybody and welcome to Life is Strange Before the Storm, the prequel made by an American developer, Deck 9. So before we get into the game itself, we're going to do the behind the scenes videos because unlike with the first game, the behind the scenes stuff was first released on the Life is Strange YouTube channel before the game actually released. So let's keep things chronological. Why the fuck not, right? Not to mention, I do want to go into the game with the context of what Zach Garris, the lead writer, says in this part that we're about to watch. Rating pending.
May contain content inappropriate for children, you don't say.
So, here we finally get to meet Deck.
So return to Arcadia Bay.
My first thought with Life is Strange was just how kind of lovingly crafted.
There you go, Shirai. Accents we can understand.
Yeah, this is actually an American developer. And here's Zach Garris, the lead writer of Before the Storm and director of True Colors.
Well, that's his soul. True Colors is the best game that this
Yeah,
series has.
that being said, Jova, I can definitely understand why he didn't write True Colors, because as we're going to see, he's definitely a better director than he is a writer. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh boy. I have.
Also, I would be able to understand the others, but I would just need like no other sound.
Oh, sure.
Everybody knows that one summer or whatever where you spent a lot of time.
I have an interesting way to describe this game compared to Life is Strange.
So there you go. Deck 9 came to Square Enix and pitched the idea of making a game from Chloe's perspective. So yeah, Shirai, now you get to play as Chloe!
You know
I don't want to. What?
You know what?
What is it?
Yes, you're right. This is a game where Chloe's the protagonist. Now, to be fair, I can actually...
No.
Okay, look.
Let Jova say his point.
Yeah, go ahead, Jova.
To be fair, I can actually see there being a good point to this. Let's be honest, Life is Strange, the original game, was not doing Chloe any favors with the fans. But an interesting way to try and get us onto her level could be a good prequel that could flesh out her character. Maybe explain stuff that the original game refused to explain.
So, because this game was being made at the time where the voice acting strike was going on, Ashley Birch doesn't voice Chloe this time. Instead, however, they did bring her up as a writing consultant to make sure that she would help Zach Garris find Chloe's voice, as they put it.
Which I'll give them credit, they seem to have succeeded with that.
Alright, here we go, let's...
So my main focus has been on Chloe and Chloe's voice in terms of just her dialogue.
Yeah, the voice I can't do because, yeah.
Let's just say Ashley is a better voice actor than she is a writing consultant. That's all I'll say for now.
Oh,
because, I mean, writing's her second career. She's done a lot of episodes for, like, other shows.
She's imprisoned in the grief that comes with losing a parent.
Maybe she's just better at those than she is
with that,
this.
We're kind of saying it's okay not to be okay.
So yeah, apparently it's about...
It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, it's about... They're trying to tackle Chloe's grief, trauma, all that shit, basically.
Try to stray away from them.
Again, you know what? I can appreciate them trying to do this because, okay, assuming that they were kind of under restrictions as to what they could do with the IP, again, trying to make a prequel that would flesh out Chloe to, you know, try and help her in the eyes of her detractors.
I have to bring this up because remember, Yurik also brought this up in his video. Notice how he just said, oh, we wanted to make the game emotionally honest because being frivolous would be irresponsible. Keep that in mind from when we're doing the game.
Oh boy, that's make things hard.
That's the thing about these behind-the-scenes documentaries. When you say you don't want to do something, but you end up doing it.
Dwibs, there are so many times when that stuff happens.
So yeah,
like in that Tarzan behind-the-scenes thing where the guy said he wanted to avoid the uncanny valley.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the developers decided, that, according to them, Shirai, the thing that the fan base wanted the most, because they claim themselves to be huge fans of the first game themselves. Apparently, what the fan base really wanted for this prequel was to see the story of Chloe and Rachel before Rachel disappeared.
Which, to be fair, there were quite a few people wondering about that. And again, okay, so how much jurisdiction did Deck 9 have in what they could choose to do with the IP? Like, I understand if they were kind of limited in their options, like in that case, go prequel.
Aside from I mean, okay, as far as we know, they did the game they wanted. I mean, there's been no accounts of them being being given mandates on what they were allowed to do with the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with on another Square Enix.
Oh, hold on, Jova. Hold on, this. There you go. See, it's a prequel. According to Ashley Birch, it's a prequel written by fans of the first game. Ashley, you are aware that fan fiction is not exactly something that's usually regarded as a, high quality thing. Usually, I'm not saying there's no good fan fiction out there, but let's face it, good fan fiction is it's definitely the exception rather than the rule.
To our credit, this can kind of be a selling point, usually fans are people who you would trust to do right by the series in some way, shape, or form. Granted, that has kind of been a statement that has been weathered by not so good examples lately, but I can get that being a selling point, especially back then at the time.
As I was going to say, in terms of at least the Western division of Square Enix at the time, it was like that with IO. When IO split from Square after the first Hitman trilogy game didn't do very well, when they split, they could have just so easily afterwards said, "Oh, Square were a bunch of fuddy-duddies." But no, it's not like they had any less creative freedom than when IDOS owned them. So it's just more of a case of, well, if IO or in this case Deck 9 screwed up, then it's safe to say it wasn't because Square told them to.
Yeah, I usually prefer to get those statements from the developers themselves, because back in the day there were a lot of people that were automatically assuming, oh, Disney put a lot of limitations on what Warren Spector was allowed to do with Epic Mickey, and years later, Epic Mickey, and every time he gets asked about this, Warren Spector is very adamant about it. No, that's bullshit. I was totally given as much freedom as I wanted. Stop, basically. So don't again, the lesson here, kids, is don't just listen to whatever random people on the internet say immediately.
And also, sometimes big bad corporation is kind of an exaggeration.
Not get me wrong, there's a reason why that paranoia exists, but it's always good to take things on a case-by-case basis, because there are exceptions.
Definitely.
Alright, so, with that done, everybody, now we talked about what... okay, so basically, let me recap what we just learned, because I want to emphasize something. According to Ashley Birch, she really liked Zach Garris' script because, as she puts it, it's very emotionally honest. And according to the director of the game, to be frivolous with a game like this would be irresponsible. Keep those things in mind when we do the game. Moving on. So, like Dwebs mentioned before, this game was being developed during the 2016-2017 voice actor strike, of which Ashley Birch was a part of. As a result, Ashley Birch couldn't return to reprise her role. In fact, almost none of the voice actors from the original game were able to return. I think there were a couple that returned, but I didn't actually check. So that means that Chloe's voiced by somebody else, and they also got Rachel to be played by someone who apparently doesn't really have much acting experience, and let's just say, when we get into the game, it shows.
Considering my
look at that! By this point, they already had a rating. And
considering my really mixed relationship with sound-alikes,
yeah. Let's just say they're probably gonna have a field day with this one.
I think that Chloe.
I feel like they are trying. Again, okay, there's a reason I'm somewhat softer on this game, but it will come to when I pretty much mention my comparison of this to the Life is Strange first game when we start this playthrough officially.
Hi, my name's Rihanna.
So yeah, Rihanna DeVries plays Chloe this time.
You know what? Actually, I do feel like there is some hidden genius in making this a prequel. She can easily just say that she's Chloe but younger, so... At least that can explain the slight change in voice.
Oh no, well that's a thing, Jova. This game only takes place like a few months before the first game, so it doesn't really...
Puberty changes voices in the span of a month.
It's a few years actually, Pedro.
Oh, is it? Well, do we have an exact an exact number?
Well, Well, according to, well, apparently Chloe's 16 at this point, and when we see her in Life is Strange normal, she's like 20.
Okay, so 4 years before. Gotcha.
Okay, so that's enough for there to be a voice change, definitely.
I guess.
Finding Rachel at this point in her life is so.
Okay, for those who don't know, my main issue with sound-alikes is they can go either one of two ways. They don't sound like the person that's supposed to be sounding alike at all, or they do, but their acting is shit.
I wouldn't say there's just two ways. There's a lot of cases where sound-alikes actually work very well, like George Newborn as a sound-alike for Tim Daly as Superman, and whoever they got as a sound-alike for Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator in Mortal Kombat is just flipping fantastic. So, no, I wouldn't say it's as binary.
Oh, hold on, Joe, I have to mention this up. There you go. Rihanna just said, oh, I know that the fans are really excited to see Chloe and Rachel's relationship and how it broke down. Ha, 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 ha. Expect to be disappointed based on what Rihanna just said.
Now look, if there are people who do like the ultimate answer to that, all the more power to you, but
No, that's a thing, Joe.
No, I'm definitely gonna say this. The majority were not too thrilled with the execution.
See, the thing is, let's just say the game feels unfinished, and that's all I'll say for now.
Oh yeah. Like I said, most fans weren't exactly buying it.
Oh god, the junkyard scene. They're talking about how the junkyard. She's talking about how the junkyard scene was incredibly bad, incredibly hard for her to voice act. Let's just say it shows because her acting in that scene that she's describing right now is atrocious. Again, no disrespect to Rihanna Dreves. I'm sure she's a nice person, but her performance in this game is.
I'm mixed on her performance. I feel like the idea is to show how in pain Chloe is the entire time.
I'm sorry.
Although I will give her credit, she's better than the actress she's better than Kylie Brown, the voice of Rachel, because Kylie Brown sounds so monotone in this game that it's just.
Screwed it up somehow.
Again, most of these actors don't have a lot of experience before this game, and it shows.
I do love that line that Chloe says, like I screw everything up. I really do wonder if the writers of this game were at least in on the bit about how, yeah, Chloe was quite a load to deal with.
He just said, Joe, like Chloe's imperfections is something we embrace with this story. There you go, see?
Again, this is part of why I appreciate this game a bit more. It does feel like it's coming from a direction where they did recognize the flaws with the original Life is Strange game and were trying to iron that out.
I don't know, Jova.
That said, in trying to iron them out, they arguably made something that's worse. Oh, mind you, it's not as insufferable to play, but...
Let's just say this game kind of leaves you... by the time we go through this game, a lot of people are just like going, that's it? Like, was this really worth existing? Because the overall consensus from fans of the first game is that this game didn't really need to exist. Because, trust me, the game doesn't really give you any hard answers about what went down. That's all I'll say for now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with that being said, I don't want to just talk about negative stuff, because one thing I do enjoy from this game, everybody, is actually the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack of the first game, I understand why people like it. It's that acoustic guitar hipster thing, and it's not for me, but I understand the appeal of it. It's just not for me. However, since this game stars Chloe, to fit her personality, the soundtrack is more rock based, and I actually really like the songs that two members of the band Daughter made for this game, because this was actually their first time composing music for something that's not one of their albums. So since I do enjoy the soundtrack, I wanted to give these two like the light of day in this part. So yeah, like I said, two members of this band called Daughter made the soundtrack.
Question.
Yes.
Isn't the soundtrack for The Last of Us acoustic guitar?
It is acoustic guitar, but I will argue it's a different style of acoustic guitar music, Shiroi.
But it is acoustic guitar, yeah.
I just had to ask, because like, oh yeah, I thought you liked that one, but I guess it's more the execution of it.
It
just being acoustic guitar.
When I say I said acoustic guitar, that whole high school independent film type of thing. You know, like okay,
Ah, I see. Mm-hmm.
that whole thing. Whereas Gustavo's score for Last of Us Part 1 was more subdued, basically. You found her inspiring as your heroine. Apparently, they also liked the first game and found Chloe inspiring as again.
Well, I mean,
to each its own, I guess.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you can't take inspiration from anything, even badly written stuff.
Mm-hmm.
True. I do feel like these people definitely still liked the first Life is Strange game, but part of me does feel, especially with how the writing tries to address problems, part of me just wonder if they did want to iron out the really big issues that the first game's plot did, but then at some point something gave and they weren't able to fully go through with it. You understand what I mean when you see the end.
So, Daughter is a band from the UK. They consist of Elena Tonra from North London.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other guy?
Swiss guitarist Igor Haifeli.
Okay.
And the other guy who's not here, Remy Aguilera from France.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Because I actually really like the main theme of the game that we hear every time we boot it in the title screen. I actually do like that theme, and I also like for example, the theme that plays during the beginning of chapter 2. I also like that theme, but we'll get to it.
Imagine a British rock star.
So it's kind of like this. Generally, there's like one.
We have to have some. It's like ever since like the Actually, no. Okay. If I ever become the leader of something, like in the gaming industry, I'll make it a rule say you have to have at least one British thing in a major game. It can be anything, but you have to have at least one because that makes everything.
It'll just be tea, a cup of tea in the background, and that's all you get.
Even if it's just making the developers tea.
Yeah.
We'll get ourselves a British janitor.
Yeah.
How they respond to our music being on it, and like if it's, it would just be nice.
You know what I mean?
If it's well received.
Seriously, the British really love that statement.
I think
we did.
it fits really beautifully and really well. And
It's almost like you're equivalent to Japan's long time no see.
So yeah, and that was the behind the scenes.
Get hyped, yo!
That was the behind the scenes stuff that I wanted to talk about in regard to this game. But that was because that was the only behind the scenes stuff that's involving this game. Like, there's no actual in-game videos, unlike with the first game that we can watch. So
that's partly because this is a much smaller project than the first one.
That being said, everybody,
I just realized actually something. At the time of recording this, we're only over a week away from the 5th anniversary of the release of the first episode.
Interesting. All right. That being said, everybody, don't think we're not going to have an extra part still, because we are. The extra part we will cover the recent remaster. Let's just say. Oh, and by the way,
goody.
all right. So tune in next time, everybody, when we actually start the game proper.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.